And early voting is not just happening in Florida, it is taking place across the country, as Phil mentioned. People already lining up to vote in critical swing states like North Carolina, Nevada, and Ohio. Take a look at this. It's estimated that through this morning, more than 6 million people have already voted. So are there any trends we can take away from those ballots? Dr. Michael McDonald is an associate professor at the University of Florida. Doctor, good to see you today.
Great to be with you, Shannon.
All right, let's talk about North Carolina. I know you've really dug into the data about early things, what's going on there, what we're seeing versus 2012. What can you tell us?
Well, there are a number of states like North Carolina that give us a wealth of information about their voters. And so in a state like North Carolina, we have party registration, so we know the party registration of people who have voted in this election, and we can make a comparison to 2012. And in a state like North Carolina, we also have gender, age, and race. Now all states all have that information, but that's something that's special that we have in North Carolina. And what we can tell from the data so far in North Carolina is that up to that mail balloting period, the in-person early voting period began on Thursday, the Democrats were performing better than 2012. Republicans were performing worse than 2012 in the state. And that changed with the in-person early voting. Republicans had a slight lead in the mail ballots going into that Thursday. Democrats, like happens most places with in-person early voting, took a commanding lead once they had the in-person early voting going underway. But the numbers were not as strong for the Democrats as they were compared to 2012. Now, some of that has to do with what's been widely reported, the reduction in polling places that led to long lines in some counties that are Democratic counties in the state. What we may see later on, because the number of polling locations will increase later this week going into next week, is that we should see greater increase of early voting. And this is a critical time for the Democrats. Their voters like to vote in person early if they're going to vote early, and if they don't show up at the numbers that they did in 2012, that will be a troublesome sign for the Clinton campaign.
Okay, so a big Senate race in North Carolina, along with the presidential race. The same thing in Nevada. That's another critical state. How are things looking there?
Well, there it's looking better for the Democrats because there haven't been the same changes in the number of polling locations. And after the first day of voting that happened on Saturday, and the state started reporting the numbers out, things look good for the Democrats. They look at least on par, if not better than 2012 in some of the key counties, and Republicans are actually slightly off of their 2012 levels. If that, again, persists through to Election Day and on Election Day itself, that would spell trouble for the Trump campaign. Okay,
I want to quickly touch on California. No surprise there, the Democrats will be doing well. But interesting number there that the Latino population, the mail-in balloting, is up 45% over 2012.
Right. Now, you expect that in some respects because the Latino population is growing. They're also aging, so as people become older, they become a more likely voter. So some of that increase is expected, but to see that number, that much of an increase in California, may bode well for the Clinton chances, as we're seeing in places like Arizona and, dare I say it, Texas.
Interesting to see it as a toss-up these days. All right, Dr. McDonald, thank you very much for your insights. Good to see you.
Great to be with you.